you want to bake this in a slow oven. And I use parchment. You can put it right on some dishes, you can put it right on the dish and bake it in that, with that, but I like to put it on a baking sheet. And if you put it on parchment, it keeps, it won't stick to your baking pan. But you make a ring of parchment. So what I do, I don't know if you saw what I just did, I take my parchment paper, I fold it in half, fold it again and again until you get like, because I'm going to make a little round. So this just is an easy way to make a parchment round. And it's going to go about to there. So I'm just going to cut it about like so. And that will make my little base for this. So it's pretty close to a round. And you can shake some powdered, some cornstarch on there as well, but the parchment's good enough. So don't worry about that. I'm going to, so there's my meringue. I like to get it so it's, you know, it's just like, it's standing up, it's stiff, and some people like the meringue to just flop over a little bit, it's kind of up and then a little limp peak to it. I don't think it really matters that much, but I like them like this. And now I'm going to put a teaspoon of vanilla. I have a really nice quality vanilla here. Let's grab a teaspoon. That's a half a teaspoon. There we go. I just got some new. I love being able to buy things at kitchen shops, and now it's like, ooh, a business expense. So poor Mr. Eagy. Whenever you're measuring, vanilla's not such a bad thing to measure over, because like it's not a tragedy if you got too much vanilla. But I'm also going to add some vinegar. So it's always a good idea to never measure right over the pot, because if you do a oops, it's hard to get it out again. So I'm going to do it over here. So I'm just putting that in. We're going to fold these in. And I have some white vinegar, just some clear white vinegar. And I'm going to do another teaspoon. And so those are just there. And now I want to fold those in. I'm just going to, you could use a rubber scraper to do it, or a offset. I'm just going to, when you're folding, you just go through you don't want to lose all that air, so you don't want to mess with it too much, just a little bit, and keep all that. But you want to, I go around, then one through the center, and that's pretty much there. Okay, now I'm going to plunk this. I'm going to save these egg yolks for another recipe. We're just going to put this on the, and you can make this way, way bigger, but I'm just making a sort of a medium-sized one. If you do a huge meringue, huge pavlova, it's one of those desserts, it's like, wow. You come out with it, well, you'll see when I finish it. People are so amazed. And if you really want to get their admiration, you tell them it takes 3 hours to make. Well, 3 of those hours are pretty much in the oven and then cooling down in the oven, but you don't need to tell them that part. Now this doesn't look like much, but I put it on my little cake round, and I'm going to spin it around. Let's grab an offset and get some of this yummy meringue goodness. And I'm going to just make this into that tutu they talked about. Now, I want to just make a shape like around this thing. Don't worry if you're not very clever with carving or making shapes, because this is the most forgiving dessert in the world. Because you're going to decorate with cream and fruit, and there's going to be so many things to distract the eye. But I like to make it have sort of this big mound shape. That's just the way I did it when I was in Sydney. And you know, I've seen all kinds of shapes. I've seen people that make a big round and then they kind of hollow it out, and then they just fill that with cream. You get another shape. Or if you want to really impress people, do little individual pavlovas, and so you can get any kind of presentation. But so this is basically it. This is ready to go into the oven, And we're going to put it in an oven. I started off, I like a little crunchy outside to the meringue, to the pavlova. So I started off in an oven that's at about 350, and I'll put the timer on for about 15 minutes. And then when it goes, then turn it down to, in Australia there's, if you look in the cookery books there, they say a slow oven, a moderate oven, a hot oven, a very hot oven, and those are the temperatures. So this is called in a slow oven. And slow oven is pretty much 200 degrees Fahrenheit to 250. It's in that lower range. Over there it's in Celsius, so it's a whole nother thing. But so you just barely have it on. But you want to give it a little bit of a crunch on the outside and browned. So I would put this in my oven for 15 minutes, and then I would turn the oven down to the slow, to that 200 to 250, just at your lowest temperature. You know your oven. And then just let it do its thing. It'll work its magic for a long time. You might have to turn your timer on a couple times, about an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on your pav. Then you'll hear the buzzers the last time you think, okay, it's about ready. Then just turn your oven off and just leave it in there. And then you'll come back in about, say, half an hour. Then you just open the door, and then it'll just kind of. You want it to slow down, cool down, just gradually. It's worth the effort. And then you've got this nice little crunchy thing on the inside. It's just the most moist, melt in your mouth meringue ever, and it's very, very light. So anyway, that's the stage. It's like, oops, it's going off to the oven.